Respiratory Protection and Awareness Training. This video provides an overview on respiratory hazards in general industry and respiratory protection program requirements. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration requires employers to have respiratory protection programs if their workers are required to wear respirators on the job. This video does not cover all of the things that your employer must do under OSHA standards. The purpose of a respirator is to protect your health and safety. Respiratory hazards can exist in various forms at general industry work sites. There could be gases, vapors, dusts, mists, fumes, smoke sprays, and fog. If you breathe them in, certain respiratory hazards act quickly. For example, carbon monoxide, an invisible, odorless gas, can make you unconscious or kill you in minutes. Other respiratory hazards can take years to make you sick, like asbestos, which can cause lung cancer decades after you breathe it in. More examples of respiratory hazards in general industry include, but are not limited to, dusts, metal fumes from welding cutting and smelting of metals, solvent vapors from spray coatings, adhesives, paint strippers, and cleaning solvents. Also, this includes chemical hazards, sensitizing vapors or dusts. The CFR 1910.134 standard requires the employer to provide effective training to employees and maintain a written program. The Written Respiratory Protection Program evaluates the respiratory hazards in the workplace, selects and provides appropriate respirators, provides worker medical evaluations, respirator fit testing, guidance for the maintenance, storage and cleaning of respirators, and training about respiratory hazards. The program will evaluate workers, use of respirators, and correct any problems. A periodic program review is needed to ensure its effectiveness. This could include new work processes and changes in materials used. The training must be comprehensive, understandable, and recur annually and more often if necessary. The employer shall ensure that each employee can demonstrate knowledge of at least the following: why the respirator is necessary, and how improper fit, usage, or maintenance can compromise the protective effect of the respirator. Your employer is required to provide the appropriate respirator to protect your health from the specific conditions at the workplace. It is crucial that a respirator have a tight seal around the face so that the respirator does not have leaks while being used in hazardous environments. Factors such as facial hair, glasses, or other conditions must not interfere with the respirator. Respirators are chosen by your employer based on work area conditions and the degree of exposure that an employee has to hazardous materials within the workplace. After the use of a respirator, the employee must clean and disinfect the respirator to make sure the respirator is in sanitary condition and in good working order. What the limitations and capabilities of the respirator are: do not wear your respirator into atmospheres containing contaminants for which your respirator is not designed to protect against. If there is a change in work area conditions or degree of employee exposure, then you should notify your employer, and your employer must re-evaluate the effectiveness of the respirator. Respirators cannot be worn in areas where respiratory protection is not required. Employee-owned respirators cannot be used unless approved by the manager. How to use the respirator effectively in emergency situations, including situations in which the respirator malfunctions. If your respirator becomes damaged, malfunctions, or you detect signs of exposure, you must leave the area immediately. If the event of an emergency, leave the area immediately. Do not remove the mask until you are in an area free of contamination. Any respirators maintained for use in emergency situations shall be inspected at least monthly and checked for proper function before and after use. If a respirator fails an inspection for being defective and filter cartridge replacements are unsuccessful, then make sure the respirator is removed from service and the employer disposes of the respirator. How to inspect, put on and remove, use, and check the seals of the respirator. The size of the respirator is acceptable. Adjust the strap tension to have a tight and comfortable seal around the face. well positioned across the bridge of the nose. Respirator is properly placed to fit chin and cheeks. Room for eye protection. Room to talk. What the procedures are for maintenance and storage of the respirator. After the use of a respirator, the employee must clean and disinfect the respirator to make sure the respirator is in sanitary condition and in good working order. A respirator is to be stored in an area where it will not be subject to damage, contamination, dust, sunlight, extreme temperatures, moisture, and damaging chemicals. A respirator should not be packed in such a way that it will be deformed. A respirator's filter's cartridges must be replaced when the employee detects a vapor or gas breakthrough, unless changes to the respirator's facepiece stop the leakage. How to recognize medical signs and symptoms that may limit or prevent the effective use of respirators. If you experience sensations of dizziness, nausea, weakness, breathing difficulty, shortness of breath, pounding in your chest, coughing, sneezing, vomiting, fever, chills, or other symptoms while using your respirator at the workplace. It is important that you recognize that minor conditions, as well as serious symptoms like sustained chest pain radiating into one or both arms, may have serious consequences for yourself and/or your coworkers.